Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to people that are not in the same time zone as I am. I am Todd Milgren. I am the Distribution Sales Manager here at Sangoma. And today I'll be presenting how you can continue to grow your business with FreePBX and PBXact by examining our phones and our phone apps. With me today from our marketing department is Julie Webb. You want to say hi, Julie? I don't know if your phone's muted or not. With that out of the way, we're going to get right into it. This is part of a series we are doing on FreePBX and PBXact. Just in case you didn't make it to any of the previous ones, a quick overview of who we are here at Sangoma. We are a company that's been in business since 1984, got about 400 employees spread out worldwide. 150 million roughly in revenue. We are publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange, so you can go and look and see we have been profitable for quite a long time. And through all of our different solutions, we have various marquee customers throughout the world, but the bread and butter or overwhelming majority of the businesses that we interact with and do business with are SMB, so 500 seats or less. And we provide those folks, some of them we provide an A to Z solution, where we're providing them dial tone, we're providing them an SVC, which quick plug for the next one in the series, securing your solution. That's going to be in 2 weeks. After it hits the SVC, it will then go to one of our PBXs and then to our phones. So we can truly be A to Z, or we can be just a piece. And the piece we're going to be talking about today is phones. And since you guys are all going to get a PDF of this presentation, I like to put the handy resources towards the front here. FreePBX.org is your home for everything related to FreePBX. Our community forums are there, as well as a merch store where you can get some cool stuff that we've had made with Tango, or the mascot of FreePBX. Following that is our wiki, where you can find lots of walkthroughs and how-tos. Our portal, which is where you can go to purchase things like our phones or different items that we sell. Training.sangoma.com. We've had tens of thousands of users go through our trainings out there online now. Whether it's Asterisk, FreePBX, PBXact, SwitchVox, it's free. It's broken up into different modules, spanning anywhere from a couple of minutes to, I think the longest one I saw is 20 minutes, so it's go at your own pace. And once it's been completed, you can get yourself a download that you can then print out and put up in your office, maybe in the den at your house or in your living room, stating that you have passed this examination and you're certified for platform A, B, C, or D, or all 4 of them. And then lastly, a direct link to our phones that we're going to be talking about today. And I'll show that to you when we get a little further in. Since a big portion of this is going to be going over our phone apps, you'll see at that website we have walkthrough videos that show you how to use those. So with that being said, with all of that out of the way, let's actually get into things. So why did we create phones? Our partners asked for it. It was the first start. We support with FreePBX and PBXact 300 different endpoints from 20 different manufacturers. But there's a couple of things you can't do when you don't make phones and control the phone systems, and we're going to go over those. You will also lose out on brand recognition. So someone like Yealink or Snom, who doesn't make a phone system, somebody using those phones, if you ask them, hey, I really like your phone system, what are you using? They look at the phone and they go, oh, I'm using Snom phone system. They don't make one. So you lose out on some branding there, not only for yourself, but for your partners. Plus, partners wanted one throat to choke, right? So having a single vendor solution, certainly helps with that. And as you'll see, that tighter integration gives people a lot of unexpected features that really enhance the experience for them. So quick overview, we have a complete line of phones. Five-way conference calling is actually one of the things we're able to do when we control the PBX and the phone. So that's not just a conference bridge, that's an ad hoc conference call. What most people typically think of as a three-way conference call, we can do up to 5. And that actually came to us, it was Will Ferrell's production company, the former SNL actor, comedian. I'm sure most people on here know who he is. His company, Funny or Die, they wanted a production assistant to be able to ad hoc call 5 people, put those 5 people onto a call together, and then have the production assistant drop off of the call. We can't do that with somebody else's phones. We don't control the firmware. We don't control a lot of things. So stuff like that was what we were able to get into the phone to accommodate people. Of course, we've got built-in speaker phones, power over Ethernet, another plug for next week's webinar, VPN in the phone to the PBX. We'll be talking about that in more detail next week. And then zero-touch provisioning, which is our redirect server, which you can go into portal.sangoma.com. And while your phones are being shipped from us or your distributor or whoever you bought them from, you can put in all of the information regarding where those phones need to go, so you can just unbox them and start powering them up. So we've got a full line of phones here, everything from basic entry-level phones with the S206 all the way up to executive-level phones with the 505 and 705, and we have a deck phone as well. Also, we're not going to be focusing on these phones today, but do know with FreePBX and PBXact, our D-series phones work as well. Some of the phone apps we're going to be talking about also work on those. And as you can see, have a completely different form factor and look and feel. Also have a touchscreen phone available, the D80. I've got one here at the house. It's probably the most responsive touchscreen desk phone I've ever laid my hands on. Usually there's always some sort of delays and things like that. It makes it a little frustrating, but this is super reactive to touch. It's a great phone. So getting back into the S series, so the S206 and the S305, that's entry level. S206 is really meant to be hung on a wall, used in break rooms, things of that nature. It's 10100 Ethernet ports on it, dual. S305 is a step up from that. It's got a backlit screen. It does support our phone apps. As you can see, it's a smaller screen, so it makes the rendering of some of those a little difficult. But they both have full duplex speakerphones and 5-way conferencing. And then at the high end of the entry-level phones is the S406. Now this is where you're going to get dual gigabit ports for gigabit pass-through. You're going to get a bigger LCD screen, and then of course support for the phone applications we're going to be talking about here shortly. The S505 is by far our most popular phone. Both that and the 705 have dual gigabit ports. Both are color screen. Both support an expansion module, which we'll talk about a little more here shortly. The S705 does have a slightly bigger color screen, and then it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth support. So if you have a Bluetooth headset you want to use, you don't want to have to have multiple devices between your cell phone and something else. You can pair that up right with the phone and use that for listening and talking on any of your phone calls. And then the Wi-Fi, it's not really meant for a deployment of, hey, we don't want to run any sort of wiring, so we're going to put 100 Wi-Fi desk phones out in an office. It's meant for smaller scale, especially for someone like myself that works from home. I have an office on the second floor, but my fiber optic modem is in the basement, and I can do wiring. I just can't do wiring through walls of an old house, which I think a lot of people run into that issue. So I'm able to have a desk phone at my desk, as opposed to using a soft phone like Zulu or something else. And the other option would be I could go with the DC201, which is our deck phone. You can get about 50 meters from this base station right here, indoors, up to 100 meters outdoors. And I have some more detailed stuff here. I'm not going to waste your time on. This is all stuff you can read through. I'll stop here at the base station. Since you're going to get the PDF of those, I just wanted to include those in my deck for you. I just want to point out here with the DC201, this base station can handle up to 20 cordless handsets and up to 5 simultaneous phone calls. And then lastly, the expansion module. Again, this is for the 505 and 705. You can daisy chain up to 6 of these together. You get 20 buttons, which really is more like 40, because you've got these page buttons down here so you can scroll through everything. Keep it's a receptionist type scenario. You can keep the 20 most likely to get a phone call or need to monitor on screen 1, and then page number 2, you can have the remaining. Excuse me. And then lastly here, our EHS adapter. EHS stands for electronic hook switch. If you do have a decked wireless headset or Bluetooth wireless headset with a cradle and you want to integrate that with our phones, you can on the 406, 505, and 705. What this allows for is it eliminates the mechanical lifter that used to go underneath the handset, so that when you push the button on your wireless headset, it would lift up the handset and thus answer the call. So no more having to hear that thing creak every time a phone call comes in and you answer it. This little box will eliminate that and allow you to answer calls remotely. So before I go into Smart BLFs, I just want to check in with you, Julie. I see some questions have come in. Have you seen anything interesting or that keeps coming up repeatedly?
We have just a few questions. One of them is, do you offer partner programs where you can obtain the phones of interest for evaluation?
We absolutely do. We have a not for resale kit that not only includes 4 of the phones, it also includes a gateway, it includes the EHS adapter, and it includes a PBXact 40 that is fully loaded. And we also have a separate program where it's just phones. And if folks reach out to us, probably the easiest thing to do would be to go to sangoma.com/partners, fill out a partner application, and someone can get in touch to discuss the partner program, discuss the NFR kit, and see if our solution is going to be a good fit for their product portfolio.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So we're going to go over Smart BLFs real quick, and then we're going to go into phone applications, and then we'll wrap things up. So just a quick recap. I'm sure most of you know what a BLF is, but in case you do not, BLF stands for Busy Lamp Field. And when you look at a phone, say I wanted to look at Julie's extension, I got it set up on my phone. Right now, it's going to be red. She's on a phone call. She's on this webinar with us. But if she wasn't on there, it would show up green to indicate that her line is free. And if it was blinking red, I would know that she was receiving a phone call. So with our phones, we can enhance that somewhat, right? So let's say Julie was just starting and she was just starting in sales and I wanted to be ready to coach her, help her out. I can make it so anytime that she gets a phone call, I get a little audio alert, a chirp, and/or I can also get a visual alert. And with the visual alert, I can actually see who she's talking to with the caller ID info. And it would also give me the ability to pick up that phone call. So another scenario where that might be of use would be a secretary or assistant for somebody in an organization. If they manage that person's phone calls and they see that's a particular person is calling in, they can go and grab it. There's all sorts of various different things you can do with these. And then another thing we're able to do is, with a typical BLF key or on a typical phone system, when Julie is showing up green, if I push the button on her phone, it's going to call her for me. If I'm talking to someone and I see Julie's green and I push her button, it's going to automatically transfer that call to her for me. And if it's blinking red and I press her key on my phone, I'm going to be able to answer that phone call. So that's great. People are used to that, but sometimes people want to be able to go outside of those confines, right? And that's something we can't do with other people's phones. But with ours, we're able to do something called short press and long press. So short press is everything, typically how you push a button on a phone. So everything we just discussed, typically I'm just going to pop, beep, just that quickly, boom, I hit it. That's a short press. With long press, if you hold it for a second, you can program both of those to get different types of behavior. And in this particular case, if Julie's not on a phone call and I long press, I can intercom her. So if I am Julie's assistant and I have a call for her, I know, maybe Julie likes to not stand near the desk in her office and hit golf balls. I know that intercomming her will get her attention, so I can see if she wants to take this call. I can do that with a long press. Or my favorite, instead of transferring a call to her when she is on the other line and making her hear beeping in her ear for 10, 15 seconds and possibly, if she's doing a webinar, it's distracting, right? You got beep, beep, beep in your ear. Well, I can now hit I can long press her BLF and it'll transfer that straight to voicemail, thus eliminating any distractions if she's doing a webinar or talking to someone about something else. Now, you're not limited to any of these. You're only limited by your imagination and or the needs of your business. You can set it up so that a short press records a call. If you're in a call center, you can make it so a long press will allow you to barge into a phone call and take it over or whisper to an agent. Just know this functionality is there, and you can look through your PBX feature codes and figure out what would actually work for you and help make things run a little more smoothly with either your customers' phone systems or if you're not a reseller, your own phone system. All right, so we're gonna get this wrapped up with our phone apps, and I like to refer to our phone apps as unified communications for the rest of us. So if you've ever gone through evaluating a phone system, or you're a reseller working with the manufacturer, such as us, on actually helping to close that deal. Everyone's going to do a remote presentation, and the big thing is going to be, let me show you what you can do from your computer screen. Look at this. You can control your phone calls. You can do this. You can do that. You can chat with this person, do that. That stuff's great. You know, that's where a lot of productivity gains have come in, but is certainly the future of those communications. But at the moment, you know, we're still seeing 75, 80% of people are not using those applications. That's industry-wide. And a lot of that is technological paralysis, right? So if I were to take my mother and try to show her how to do Find Me, Follow Me, if you were on our webinar last week, or you're just familiar with user control panel, you know, you can go in there and you can set up call forwarding or Find Me, Follow Me. If I showed that to my mom, she would go, yep, okay, and never try to use it. But if I explained to her, hey, we've got a couple of these apps on your phone, you just press here. And as you'll see, when you watch the videos or I bring these things up, it's pretty straightforward and intuitive. And since a desk phone is not does not instill fear in people, like possibly going to a website you got to log into and go into a module and set different things up, people are more likely to use it, and thus have a lot more productivity gains within an organization. So I mentioned this website. When you go to it and you scroll down, all of these apps we're about to talk about, click on Learn More. There's a 1 to 2 minute video that not only will tell you what this app does, so it's good for a understanding or marketing piece, but it's also great for training, right? You don't have to send them the training.sangoma.com or any other type of website. They can just watch this and revisit it whenever they need if they're a little unsure. All right, so to pop back into this, I'm going to start with login, logout. This is great if you work at multiple locations, or if you have an organization that has more people working there than seats. You know, typically with that, that's going to be a call center. You've got people working the morning shift, they leave, the afternoon shift comes in, they leave, the overnight shift comes in. This allows you to log into your phone like any other shared resource. So, you know, Windows PC, where you log in, it loads your profile. Same thing is going to happen here. So I work from home. I'm in Buffalo. I'm not too far from our Toronto office. If I have meetings up there or I want to go meet with people, I go up to the office, hit the login, log out, put in my extension number, my extension password. The phone fully becomes mine. The way I have it set up, my call history, my voicemail, I call someone, it shows either my extension or my direct number. It is fully my phone. Next, we have visual voicemail. And you're probably going to say, well, we all get our voicemail in our email. And that's true. Most people, like 98% of people do. But there are still certain industries like medical practices where they can get it in their email, but they can't listen to it over their computer speakers. So with the visual voicemail app, you can treat it just like your iPhone or your Samsung Galaxy. You can bring it up, choose which voicemail message you want to listen to, fast forward, rewind, pause, go back to it, delete it. It's just like the visual voicemail on your phone. And you can use your handset or headset or even your speaker phone to go ahead and listen to those messages. Conference room management. So this is different than the 5-way conference call we were talking about. That's more of an ad hoc thing, like, hey, I'm talking with Julie. We want to get John on the phone. Let's conference him in. Conference bridge. is when, hey, we're going to have this call at 9 tomorrow with about 10 people. Call this number, put in this bridge info, here's the password. You can manage that from your phone. So there's no more, hey, are we still waiting on Mary? Or hey, are we still waiting on Haley? You can look in, see who's in there. You can mute them, you can unmute them. You can also kick them out, right? So if you have a 10-person conference call and at the end, 3 people need to talk about certain issues or certain things that the other 7 don't need to hear about, you can go ahead and look at it. And if someone hasn't dropped off, you can kick them out. Presence, if you attended last week's webinar, you know that both Zulu and User Control Panel have presence built in. So presence is not only for letting others know I'm at my desk, I'm away from my desk. It's also a way to set different behaviors within the phone system. So you can set it so that if you put yourself to away, maybe find me, follow me, then kicks on. Or if you put yourself on do not disturb, it forwards to somebody else. And when you choose those different presence states, not only do they show up on the BLF of anybody that is monitoring your extension, it'll also show up in Zulu, and it'll show up in User Control Panel too. All this stuff works together. Contacts, so this is just like speed dial, except you can get way more, and you can search through it. You can get different groups. You can have your own individual contact groups. You can have global contact groups, and you can very quickly access those from the phone and use that to go ahead and call people. Call parking is it's a global hold. Think of it as if I put my phone up here on the second floor with me on hold, if I want to go back to that phone call, I have to go to my phone. With parking, I can put it on hold to the phone system, leave the person on hold for about an hour and a half. I can drive up to Toronto, and I can then retrieve it if it's been parked. No one's going to wait that long, but if I'm actually in an office, I can put it on hold, go back to the warehouse, go back to another department, and either I can retrieve it or someone else can retrieve it. It doesn't matter. And if you use the app, it will give you visual parking lots, so you can actually see what calls are parked, how long they've been parked, and can retrieve them either by putting in the parking lot number or using the app. Call forwarding. So this is, call comes in, it's supposed to ring the phone on my desk. I don't want it to ring the phone on my desk. I want to send it elsewhere. So this can be a cell phone, a home phone, another extension. Once it's gone, it's gone. If I send it to my cell phone, it's not coming back and going into my work voicemail. It's going to go to my cell phone voicemail. Same thing if I send it to somebody else's extension, it's going to theirs. Find me, follow me. This is a series of steps. Typically, the way people enable this is call my desk phone. If I don't pick up there after a couple of rings, I want you to go to my cell phone. If I don't pick up there after a couple of rings, go to my voicemail. That's going to be your work voicemail. You can have more steps than that. You can put 10 different phone numbers for it to ring to. Most people aren't going to do that. They're just going to say, call my phone, call my cell phone. You're fortunate enough to have an assistant or a backup or somebody that helps you out, maybe it goes to them and then your voicemail, and you can configure all that right from this app. Time conditions. So most of you are familiar with setting up the phone system and saying, hey, during the hours of 9 to 5, you call here, I want behavior X. Well, sometimes that behavior needs to change. A good example would be a school. School decides to shut down for the afternoon because of snow, or because of weather or some sort of event, and they want different behavior. And being dependent upon an IT guy that maybe couldn't make it into work, or someone that sold them the phone system that can't get there, this allows you to give certain people, whether it's a principal or some sort of admin or secretary or receptionist the ability to go in and change that behavior to predetermined stuff. So you would already have we're closed for the weather, we will be back open tomorrow, or we are closed for A or B or C, etc. Now you can do the same thing with call flow. So call flow is for those organizations that have no time conditions, right? So they may be open or closed at any given time. It changes constantly. You know, they may physically close the office at 5, but since they're there till 8 every night, they don't turn off, quote unquote, the phone system. They let calls come in till 8. This gives those people that ability, except it's not binary like a night mode, if that's what you're familiar with. Night mode is just phone systems on, it's off, on, off. With call flow control, you can have multiple different states and different ways that you can have calls come in and or not only routed through the system, but back out if needed. Do not disturb. I think it's fairly straightforward. It means do not disturb me. Not only does it tell others when you set that, do not disturb me, it will also typically enact a call rule of go straight to my voicemail. You can have different rules and have it do different things when you're on Do Not Disturb. The nice thing with the app is instead of the phone system going to the phone to find out that you're on Do Not Disturb, it's locked into the phone system itself. So if you're a remote worker like me and your internet goes down, it will respect those behaviors that I have asked for with Do Not Disturb. Transfer to voicemail, we talked about doing that with the long press. It's a personal pet peeve of mine, hearing the beeping, especially if I'm doing a webinar like this, it throws me off. We have an app, so say you want to use long press, short press for other stuff that's more important. We've got the transfer to voicemail app where people can just come in and send it straight to your voicemail box. You have a call center going, or even if you're not a call center, a lot of people are enabling queues as ways to distribute calls within certain departments. You can use the queues app to actually monitor that. Not only can you see how many people are holding, how many people are logged in, how many calls have been taken, but you can also see the states, and if you have permission, change the states of those agents. So you can pause or unpause someone in a queue or log them out. And if you're an agent within those queues, you can actually manage that yourself for your whatever queues you are logged into right from the queue agents application. And then lastly, what if somebody wants to move this stuff, right? You're an administrator, you sold somebody the phone system, and every week they're asking for, I need you to move Julie to line 3, and I want this app at line 4, and hoping you can put your left foot in and do the hokey pokey for me. You can avoid all that by enabling user control panel or EndPoint Manager for that individual. I'm going to log into mine here real quick. You can see up here I've got device management, and I can come here and I can enable those audio and visual alerts if I want to. I can move things around. I can add things. Let's say I want to put the conference application right there. I can do that. So it allows you to free yourself up for individuals that may need that. And you can also, if you're an admin and you trust one individual or a couple individuals, you can give them the ability to log in here. And you can see it says me, but they could have multiple individuals that they can make those changes for, thus freeing you up to not have to do that. but also not giving somebody access as an admin to the PBX itself. All right. So like I said, it was going to be about 35 minutes. Looks like once I got started, took about 35 minutes. How are we looking on questions, Julie?
Well, I saved several because I thought it would be good for the entire group to hear the response. One of them was a question around the soft buttons and wondering if they're configurable or if there's a certain character limit per soft button.
That may be beyond my readily accessible technical knowledge. I can tell you that the soft keys are configurable. As far as a character limit, I'm just going to pop into a system real quick and see. So while I'm waiting for that to load, if you want to move on to the next question, I'll come back to that character limit.
Okay. Does the decked phone model use a built-in VPN so that they can be installed remotely?
I do not believe the DC201 has a VPN, but let's use the power of Google and our wiki and see if that is the case. And I do not believe it is. Yeah, one of these would have popped up already. So we do have other ways in which you can secure that. And if you join us 2 weeks from now, I will be presenting on how to secure your solution. We can definitely go over that either with an SBC or with the responsive firewall.
Okay.
What is next?
This is a good question. Is the hot desking compliant with Kerry's law?
It is. We have another webinar coming up. I'll have to look. It's sometime this month, but it is compliant with Kerry's law. On the D-series phones and Switchbox, we had to pull that back. But with the S-series phones, PBXact and FreePBX, since the way we've implemented it with setting things with E911 and allowing the phone to make a phone call with 911 without having to press anything for an outside line or be logged in, that is how we complied with Kerry's law.
Okay. That is all of our questions.
See if I can. All right, so let's look at these horizontal soft keys. And let's see. So I'm just holding down the A button right now, and I am not seeing, I'm not getting any limit. I'm going to save that. So one thing we do have within the phones is the ability for, just bring them up real quick. With both the line keys and the soft keys, you can enable scrolling. So if you have something that's too long like that, it'll slowly scroll so you can get the whole thing. I'm just trying to remember where it is. There we go. Label scrolling. And you can do different things with widening the labels and enabling scrolling. I would recommend if you have some sort of specific use case and it's really long as far as the number of characters, if you go to Sangoma.com, you can see we've got chat, or you can call into us. One of our sales folks can engage an engineer and get you definitive answers on that. Anything else?
The last one here we have is, where could someone find a list of headsets compatible with the S-Series phone? Would that be on our wiki?
That would be in the wiki. So any headset is going to be compatible, right? We have some that we have tested though, and I would try to and we have tested them from the major manufacturers, right? Jabra, Plantronics, Sennheiser. So that if you want to look at the wired ones, we have tested these. But any wired headset's going to work. You're just going to plug it into the headset port and hit the headset button. And it should be, for the most part, the same with the wireless headsets. But if you want to make sure it works with EHS and it's supported, we've tested it, you can find all that on the wiki.
And I'm glad that that question came up, and you were in the wiki, so it shows the audience, everything that's really widely available, resources that we have available to them in the wiki.
Yep. However you want to get a resource, we have it. So if you want to learn how to do something on PBXact because you like videos, you can go to the training site. If you prefer to read through stuff, we've got the wiki, and within the wiki there are some videos as well. If you can't find an answer, we have chat, we have phone numbers, we have community forums. If neither of those three work with you, I think there was a request for some sort of telepathic integration with FreePBX, so maybe we'll be able to read your minds in the future. You never know. One thing with the wiki, though, I will tell you, the search is not the best. If you want to find something in the wiki, I always recommend going to Google and doing something like Sangoma, PhoneApps, Wiki. And that will most likely get you what you were looking for above just putting in PhoneApps here. All right, so has anything else come in while we were going over that?
Nope, we look good.
Awesome. So reminder, you guys will get a PDF of these slides. Cannot stress enough using all the resources we make available to you guys in the community. We will be doing a webinar in 2 weeks as part of this series, talking about how to secure your solution. And if you don't have VPN on the phone, with the 201, we've got different options that we can explore there, and we will be exploring those in 2 weeks. But with that out of the way, just want to thank everyone for their time today and for all the great questions, and we hope to see you guys in 2 weeks. Anything you want to add before I shut everything down, Julie?
No, thanks for the great presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Everyone have a great rest of your Wednesday.